Welcome. In this neuromyofascial mobility class, we will focus on knee health. It will particularly work with the strength, mobility, and stability of the hip, knee, and ankle joint. What you will need is a towel, and we start standing. So fold the towel up, bring one foot onto the towel, so it comes a little bit more into dorsiflexion. Step forward with the other foot, so the heel of the front foot is in line with the middle of the back foot. The hips face forward, bend your knees, hinging from the hip. Now the knees won't move. What moves is just your upper body, and your weight shifts slightly diagonal to the back foot. Now, hinge forward, knees stay motionless. Now your left hand slides down your inner left thigh as you rotate upwards towards the sky. Come back up again, and then rotating towards the right, moving into more internal rotations. This will bring the right hip into more medial rotation, which I often see is lacking in people with knee issues, that they come into deeper medial rotation of the pelvis. And one more. Coming up, change legs. So you step your other foot onto the towel, step forward with your right foot, and you probably feel already a bit different. And then the front foot is, the heel lines up with the midfoot of the left foot. Bending both knees, hinging forward from the hip, and then slide your right hand down the inner leg as you rotate your left arm up to the ceiling. Coming in and out of the hinge, it's like a deadlift movement. Moving into deeper medial rotation of the back leg. And notice both knees are bent and they're not extended. And extending. And one more. Sliding and then coming up. The next movement is the side bend, the slings myofascial side bend. Finding center on your feet. The feet are hip width distance apart. The knees are softly extended. The pelvis is in a centered position, which means for some people, lifting the pubic bone slightly up to elongate the lower back. And now with your next exhalation, you raise your heels and lift your arms forward and up. And inhale, lower the arms. Once more, relevé, arm arc. And then inhale, arm circles and heels lower. Last time, relevé. And now lower the heels down and keep your arms halfway down. Bring your right hand down to your right thigh. Your left arm comes up. Remember, you're elongated in your lower back. You're still centered on both feet. Now come into a long side bend whilst keeping your right sideline nice and long and spacious as possible. The left arm bone sits nicely in the shoulder socket, and then you do a long side bend, still breathing into that right side. Now shift your hip over to the left as you inhale, and then bring your pelvis over your feet with your exhalation. Inhale, your right hand slides down your right thigh, pubic bone slightly lifted, elongated as much as possible on both sides. And then exhale, come back to center once more, opening the lateral line. Yeah, your left lateral line right now. And then come back to center. One more. Side sliding back. And then stay in your side bend. Bring your pelvis over your feet again. Now take your left arm slowly down, palm faces down, and bring the arm down, and you feel a little bit of tension here, and do an unwinding side bend towards the left. Relevé. And lower down, arm circles. Relevé. Arms halfway down. heels down. Now your left hand moves to your left thigh. You're finding a nice long side bend whilst keeping your pelvis over your feet, whilst keeping your pelvis in a centered position, and you reach tall through your spine, through the crown of your head. Your arm sits nicely in the shoulder socket whilst reaching the fingertips out, and then you come into a long side bend whilst keeping the left side also spacious and open, as if someone would lift you up through the left armpit. Now, with the next inhalation, shift your hips over to the right, and then exhale, come back to center. You're still in your side bend. And inhale, shift, and then you feel now the lateral line on your right side is tensioned, and come back to center. Your ear reaches up towards the ceiling. You ground it down through the right foot, and then come back to center. Once more into a hip shift, and then come back to center. You're still in your elongated, spacious side bend. And now slowly taking your left hand down and finding a bit of length here into an unwinding side bend. Coming back to center. Relevé. Now, one of my favorite exercises, double knee bend, heels down, and the arms swing through. And then double knee bend, and up onto your toes again. Double knee bend and up onto your toes again. This is such a great exercise for your Achilles tendon, for your knees. A rhythmic knee bend. And now lower the heels, lower the arms. Now I'm going to come into a side view. You can see better what I'm doing. The feet are hip-width distance apart. You step back with one foot. The front knee is bent. It doesn't have to be a big step. The heel of the back foot is on top of the big toe. You reach your tailbone down. You lift your pubic bone, and you will already feel more of an opening in the front of the back hip. Now we come into a side bend, taking your front leg arm to the inside of the leg, coming into long side bend, and this inside arm will take you into a slight rotation. And then come out of it, inhale, reach, side bend, and then exhale, come out of it. Inhale, and exhale. Twice more, inhale, pubic bone lifts, exhale, one more, inhale, and exhale. Now we come into a quad opening of that back leg, and this quad opening may be a bit different to what you're used to. So you take the foot into your hand and only come into a stretch sensation that is just very gentle. So you don't want to pull further once you feel that. As soon as you feel the stretch sensation, this is it. And now you turn your knee out and in and out and in. And as you turn your leg, you may notice, the stretch sensation is getting less. So then you can pull a little bit more, bring pubic bone up at the same time, and then turn in and out. Good. Now take that leg. Now the other leg, you already feel it, is doing this stability work. Well needed for a healthy knee joint. And we come into a little back hip opening. So you reach forward slightly and come back up and forward and up. And once more, hinging forward again, opening the posterior hip capsule, but also the myofascial structures in the back. Yeah, the deep lateral hip rotators, the pelvic floor, and then come to a standing position. Now we come into a hamstring opening. Step forward with that leg. You bend the back leg. The feet are hip-width distance apart. The hips are facing forward. You hinge from the hips. The sit bones will open. The posterior pelvic floor will get a little bit more of an opening here. And then you reach forward. So sacrum, back of the head are in one line. And then you come gently up, reach forward again. And then the front knee is not hyperextended. It has a slight bend. Now come up, rotate your foot out slightly, and now you're reaching forward again. Yeah, so reaching forward, come up, reaching forward into your hinge position, come up, medially rotate that front foot, keeping your knee in a slight bend to just take any tension out of the leg that may influence the hamstring in the thigh. Now coming up. Was that 2? And we'll do 1 more for good measure. And then bringing the foot back into center. Take your toes towards you. Knee is in a slight bend again. And then hinge forward and do little circles. They're tiny little circles. You may want to touch the floor slightly. And then just pulse the toes up towards you. And bring the foot down and come back up. Now come into a wide stance. We're going to open the adductor, the inside leg area of that leg where you just opened the hamstrings a little bit or moved your hamstrings. So you reach towards the other knee, bend the knee, and then you reach across, rotate your rib cage, and your pelvis will rotate with it a little bit. And then come back, change the position of the foot outwards, and again bend that knee and rotate pelvis and rib cage towards that bent knee. Take the foot in. Now rotate upper body, pelvis is going to be hard here in this position because it is already medially rotated. Now step together and we do the other side. Starting with the deep front line opening, step back with your foot, feet are hip-width distance apart. Heel is on top of your big toe. So we are in toe extension, big toe extension. And now elongate through the tailbone, lifting the pubic bones slightly up so you feel an opening in the front of this hip. Bending the front knee. Now you feel more of an opening of this hip. Sliding the hand of the front leg down towards your knee whilst you're side bending and gently spiraling your chest up to the ceiling. And then a tiny little letting go, and then come back into it as you inhale. And let go. And again. And let go. 1 more. Inhale. And let go. Excellent. Now from here, we're moving into a quad stretch. I will just turn forward for you. And as soon as you feel the stretch sensation, you just ease off here. The standing leg, the knee is responsively extended. It's not bent, it's not hyperextended, and you're finding your ground here evenly. This is your deep front line, your lateral line, superficial front and back line working together now to stabilize that hip and that knee and the foot. Now moving your knee gently in and out. Pubic bone lifts. Yeah, you can even go a little bit further out. And taking your foot on top of your knee, hinging forward, finding the opening of this side, opening of the deep external hip rotators, pelvic floor or pelvic diaphragm structures. And 1 more. And coming back up. And from here, the hamstring stretch. So that same leg that was just on the knee, you step forward with this leg, you bend the back knee, hips are parallel, and now you're hinging forward. The front knee is unlocked, and you hinge forward, come back up, hinge forward, come back up, turn the foot slightly out, hinge forward, come back up, hinging, come back up, turn the foot slightly in, hinging, and turn it a little bit more out because I didn't feel anything, obviously because I was in the adductor area. And now bring the foot to center, and now from here, center the foot again, take the foot into dorsiflexion, the front knee is unlocked, and now just waving it from side to side, rotating the ankle joint. And then you may want to come into little bounces in different position of the hamstrings, of the foot, the toes, and then forward again and come back up and come to standing. Working on that inner thigh now, shifting your weight to the side, reaching towards and past that foot and come back up. And again, reach and come back up. And you should feel this here on this inner thigh. Now turn the foot slightly out and then reach. Knee is unlocked, Alexa. And reach and come back up. And medial rotation and reach and come back up. One more and reach and returning to center. Bringing your feet together, hip width distance apart. Releve, double knee bend onto your toes. Again, double knee bend, finding center in motion. And then lower the heels, lower the arms. Thank you so much for joining me in this neuromyofascial mobility class. I hope you enjoyed it and let me know how you went. How's your knee going? What were the insights? What was new for you? What was challenging for you? I'm always excited to hear about your experience. I'll see you next time.